Any additions or corrections for those minutes as presented?
I was not here on the sixth.
Huh?
I was not here on.
No, no, but for the members who were
I
here.
didn't have-
If there were no corrections to the minutes, somebody make a motion to accept the minutes of February 6th.
Oh,
All in favor, say aye. Opposed, Suzanne,
I didn't see.
you have three things to just. Okay, just so that everybody knows, there's a special town meeting going to be held here on the 3rd of April at 5:30. And the reason is that the fire department was elected to let us know that their tax exempt status has elapsed. So it could not go to the warning for this meeting. So we are required, otherwise they will have to pay taxes. So it's not a big deal. We don't need to have 100 people here. Just one person votes. That's all there is. If you want to come, you can. You can't. But we will have that special time meeting. Yes. Sir.
It's also the Nature Museum.
Yeah.
Oh,
Both of those,
I didn't
failed,
realize.
you know, it just did not get into the warning in time. It wasn't discovered that it expires as of March 31st.
Yeah. So every 5 years,
You have to reapprove it every 5 years to vote.
except the church.
Yeah.
They got an automatic exemption.
Yes.
So anyway, that's why it's on there.
So I have a warning for that,
Okay. The grand list closure, Hardy, you want?
Okay, so, as of February 7th, the 2022 grand list can now be closed since there are no suits pending by any of the, the people that are part of the grand list. So consequently, all you need to do now is sign the document that's going around. And at that time, once it's signed, the grand list for 22 is official. And nobody can question it going forward.
Does anyone have any questions or concerns or anything right now?
What was the total value, Hardy?
Off the top of my head, I don't know, but it's many millions of dollars. I mean, I could go downstairs and get it for you, or we just look at it after the meeting if you'd like.
I just very curious, considering that's a factor in the tax calculation.
Do we need a motion for this?
No, all you have to do is sign it and it becomes beta complex.
Perfect. Thank you, Hardy. The generator estimate, you put this on there, Morgan, so.
yeah, so we had a representative from Powers Guaranteed Services stop by. And they install, service, repair, and rent generators. They just didn't know if we were interested in getting like a quote together for them to service our generators at the township and the elementary school.
Where are they from again?
They're from,
Swansea, I think.
I know that, yeah, I know they're local, but, yeah,
But
they
that's,
said they serve this area. Like,
but I asked Morgan, we already have signed a contract for this year with Powers, right?
yeah, Brookfield
Well,
services.
okay.
Mhm.
So this would be, remember John, you on the board, Kathy, you on the board? Estimate couldn't find, but they didn't have a special license. So let's keep that
Yeah,
handy, so when the contract gets reviewed next year, we at least will have a bidder.
yeah, for sure.
And maybe there'll be more or less, so. Excess weight permit, and,
I have one from Barrett Trucking, and then I also got one today from Bees and Brothers.
okay, so we need a motion to accept the two overweight permits and have it more sign it. Somebody want to make that motion? Any discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye. Opposed? Okay. Mike is sick. He's got a virus, nothing, I mean, he doesn't have COVID or anything, his wife had it. So he will be here tonight, and then, as far as I know, there's nothing with.
He just mentioned that they posted all of the dirt roads.
Okay.
But that's it. That's all he told me.
There's no way so yeah, because there's a couple of storms coming, we're gonna have enough coverage.
He didn't tell me.
Well, this is an issue that I was talking with John. You remember when we had the COVID, we had backup?
Right.
One was Jamie Gregory, one was Ivor Stevens, and I believe one was P&L Trucking. And John questioned whether or not that's still valid. If we were to get into a situation where we had, and then maybe you can check that, Morgan, and see, was that just for COVID or was that an ongoing? Because, you know, if Mike can't plow or one of the trucks break down, we would need help if they would come.
Yeah, great.
For the help us know.
Yeah.
Themselves.
Well, we did, and we set a rate for that, remember, so much an hour, and rates might have to go up now for fuel,
Yeah.
but let's look at that and put it on the agenda for a meeting. I guess there's nothing from Kim, because she's not on, right, so there's no record treasurer. Our committee reports, there's nothing on the cemetery. Oh, John, yeah, think about,
The other thing on the cemetery is, Tim Miller, who owns the land next to the Burgess Cemetery, who we've been trying to get some of his land. He is still interested. And he's gonna contact us again with some other ideas. So we'll just have to wait to see.
And John, I know you talked about the other lot in your Houghton building, the February 6th meeting, is that fully resolved? Sounds like, Matthew Dowd got back to you right away.
The other one has not got back to it, but that's
Okay.
last talking to him, he was all right with it, but. Morgan
I can follow up.
could email him again and then.
yeah. What we're waiting there, Suzanne, for is the springtime come. We'll get, Evo to do the map, and then we have to get somebody to, you know, log it and get the right way open and all that kind of stuff.
So we've got plenty of time.
Yeah. Highway, there's a public hearing on the 20th of March for the Cambridgeport disaster. I want to call it that. So, the proposal now is to put 3 stop signs up. That's what the sheriff has recommended. So, I can't tell you what's gonna happen, but anyway, we have that public hearing, it's at 5:30, I believe, prior to the select board meeting.
Yeah.
Well, if you know anybody who's unhappy about it or want to come, you have an opportunity to speak. Let's see what happens.
Or if they are happy with it and
If they're happy,
there's something.
I think we should acknowledge, Morgan for the wonderful correspondence she conducted with respect to this situation.
Parks Committee, you're up.
Yeah, it's been several months since we reported into this group, and we thought it'd be a good time, given the transitions coming up and good weather is going to allow us to do some more work in the park. Basically, we have some projects that go beyond the restoration activities that have been done to date, that have been completed in the new parking area primarily. We had additional money received from the Grafton Improvement Association, and we're going to be building another trailhead map kiosk that will be put into the original park entrance where there's an older kiosk there. And that's kind of in anticipation of getting funding, we hope at some time, to put an easier access pathway up through the original Firetown Road Park entrance. We also want to add a sign at the base of Firetown Road directing people that there is a automobile/parking entrance further up Firetown, just so people know, because it may not be common knowledge for outside visitors. We do hope to get to work on the trail side, lean-to construction pending receipt of additional funding. In the original park renovation project, we had identified renovation of the existing gazebos there that have kind of been lower priority, but we see that coming up as being a necessity just for safety and cosmetics as well. Ultimately, the easy access trail development that we had been seeking funding from the state and from the federal government now waiting for a residential trails program grant response that Morgan's been working very hard at keeping up with. If we get smiled on with some money, then we'll lay out a specific time schedule for doing that. And less expensive, unless my partners here raise our rates, we probably will add a loop trail extension up to the top of the park to take advantage of the patch cut and logging access that actually provides some very nice views from higher up in the park. And those are projects that, depending upon funding, where money is really needed, that we'll take on this year. And as far as funding is concerned, we had discussed with the select board late last summer and fall whether or not there would be any budget room to augment the logging monies that are largely depleted with parking lot completion. And it appears, at least, you know, from quick review of the budget, that there isn't any earmarked money for further investment in the park.
We did, we added some.
Yeah, I think we
Did we?
did.
Yeah,
Oh, then we missed it, Joe.
yeah, was it $2,500, was that there?
We had 3 entries in the budget to my recollection, and I just not. Do you have that handy? Your excellent items. Better than mine.
But we don't necessarily need to know that this minute. It was,
No,
it wasn't clear that there was anything beyond residual logging and normal select board maintenance cover for.
Village park maintenance, right?
There should be 3 entry spots. Do you have the budget, Joe?
Yeah, it's right here, it's $1,500 for village park maintenance.
Well, the maintenance item is one thing, for mowing and plowing. We were looking for something incremental to maintenance to actually invest in some of the trail work or the lean-to.
I thought there was,
That was coming out of-
yeah, and it's $400, no. Here it is, there's $400 for the village park, that's maintenance.
That's
That's
maintenance.
been mowing the lawn.
Right.
Then there was an additional $1,500.
Okay, and that's on top of whatever.
I'm gonna have to.
That's what I believe, that's what I believe.
Okay, well, when, you know, when the dust settles, so we'll, you know, look at that and see how we can play that into our plans for this year. Appreciate that. If the grant application is successful, that'll obviously give us a lot of headroom to go and do some of the bigger projects. And if that's not successful, then we may come back to the select board with a discussion about how we might approach private fundraising as a means of contributing to some of the project costs. And we're not sure exactly how that would how it would work, but, you know, we'll cross that bridge if we are unsuccessful with the grant application.
But what happened with the Ames Hall?
That's, well, there's an RPP grant that we're waiting for a response, and Ames Holt is something that's still out there, Joe. You could speak to it.
Applications are due April 3rd.
Oh, okay.
So I started that, still working.
All right, so you're looking for 2 out.
There's a couple of opportunities that are outside pocket, yes. Thanks, Morgan.
Yeah.
There is 2023 represents the 100th anniversary of the gifting of the park property to the town. So we've discussed something that might recognize that as a 100-year anniversary of that gift. We're considering tying something to the town picnic and perhaps having like a open house event of some sort up in the park. We've got a lot of ideas circulating and want to try and develop an incentive for people perhaps to fill their day with a little visit up to the park and then come down to the town picnic. And I'll just say the details are being developed. We'll come to the board either through the park subcommittee or directly to the board with any ideas that we think need to have approval. But we think it's important to take advantage of the 100th year of that gift anniversary and publicize the park.
If you're looking, if that's 100 years, maybe that's the time that you might want to do a little gifting programs for somebody who might want to, you know,
Yeah,
get to other grants that you're looking for, but this might be an addition.
Absolutely.
I mean, that'd be an excellent time, 100 years.
And again, separately, Joe, one of the things we want to understand is how, I don't know, how individuals can contribute to a town project and, you know, if it can be tax deductible or all the kinds of things that go along with what people would want to see in a large gift.
I could be wrong, but I think if you give a donation to the town, I think it's tax deductible, I think, I'm not a lawyer, but I think that's the way it is.
That would be something we will want to be able to
Check that very easily.
So, and just in general, in terms of communicating some of these things, we would like to, we'll probably take an opportunity at the town meeting, just mention that it's the 100th year celebration of the park, with the idea that something will be done to acknowledge that. And we'll probably will draft a news article for the April Grafton News, again, just to create a little bit more awareness of some of the things that we're proposing the park to do in the park. And we'll draft that and make sure that you all have a chance to just see it, make sure we're not stepping out too far. Lastly, I just want to, or we want to acknowledge the positive impact of having a parks subcommittee on the select board. It's a good way for us. Well, we haven't met separately in a while. We have met individually, and particularly want to call out Suzanne for her active involvement in meeting us up at the park and really taking care of finishing up the park parking lot, you know, project, getting the porta potty stand properly situated, and all those really good things that hopefully the GIA will be stepping up to provide that porta potty again this summer. I think it added to the park utility. And that's all I had. Are any questions?
Yeah, not a question, but I met with Dave Ross to go over the town meeting, you know, from select point of view. I would meet with Dave and tell him that you'd like to have some time to make that announcement for the park.
So that could be, we'll let them know. We were thinking of doing it during the open, you know, comment section of the meeting,
Okay.
and I'll let Dave know that.
Yeah, just let him know so he can.
Thank you.
I did look up the tax issue. It's a gift to a local government entity is tax deductible if it is solely for public purposes.
Yeah.
We could certainly ensure that.
Thanks, Seth.
Yeah, it's certainly, thank you. It meets all the requirements, no question about it.
Okay, good.
And that's something you might want to, you know, focus in on your article in the paper for April.
Mhm.
And work up a little program perhaps.
Yeah.
I mean, take advantage of it, even if you know, you might not get $10,000, but if you got a couple $1,000, that's a couple $1,000 more than you had before.
Absolutely. Great, thank you.
Any questions? Personnel, do you have anything? Buildings and ground, Morgan, you wanna, I think we're done, but
The elevator's done.
everything's done.
Yeah.
The only thing,
Yeah, right. Did you go on an inaugural ride?
Yeah, and then I used it a couple of times. The door on the second floor up here is really sensitive, so when it closes, it'll open again several times. So they're gonna come back and address that. But other than that, all seasons is done. Everything's inspected. So
Did they put the light in there?
they did. There's a light switch upstairs and downstairs.
the last remaining thing is the floor here,
Mhm.
and we want to put it off until after the town meeting, and special town meeting. They want, what, 2 weeks?
At least 2 weeks.
2 weeks before we can use the building, so Morgan and I talked, and we're gonna try to arrange it so that maybe right after a meeting and before the next select board meeting, so. But that's the last part up here.
No, so the people that would do these are sanding it and refinishing it, so it's like the same, right?
I'm not sure what they're doing, I don't know.
Oh, so it's different people.
Completely different.
Yeah, it's the chef, Lauren,
Mhm.
gave the estimate, they were the better on the two.
Joe, I have a question.
Sure.
What about the energy audit? I know that was a pending action, and I'm just wondering.
Morgan's working on that.
I spoke with, somebody from Efficiency Vermont, and they have a program where you can do, it's not a formal audit, but it includes the blower door test. She said it's a test in and test out, so it gives you a reading of the building. So it would be $500 for that to be done, and then there's 75%, if you choose to go forward, 75% of the project costs, up to $5,000 can be covered by a rebate.
Can be covered by, pardon me?
A rebate.
But Suzanne, you attended the meeting that I did. I thought there was $20 million and there wasn't clear, but I think it was my impression that the audit from the state was free.
Yeah, that's my impression too, Joe.
Yeah,
Because we, as you know, we met the commissioner of Buildings and General Services Department. And she said that they were trying to make it very easy
right.
for these audits to take place, and that they would do the work. So I think that Morgan is on that. She's aware of Jennifer and is going to
Yeah,
call
good. Okay.
that.
Now, because I gave you all the contact stuff.
Yeah, because Jennifer also mentioned Efficiency Vermont, so it's fine that we touched base with them. But I think to get a more extensive audit, and as Joe said, it was our impression they did it for free and provided the resources.
Right,
And that's what
and then if you did the full audit, then you were eligible to tap into that 20 million or 20
Yeah.
whatever it was, $20 million.
Okay.
Too bad they don't, that Suzanne and I attended this meeting, and unfortunately, there was nothing for Village Park or any of that, but there's a ton of money out there for everything else. But not for the park, sorry.
Well, the R2P grant is an agency of natural resources grant, right? So they just didn't have any representation.
Wastewater, we had a 2.5 hour meeting with the Ty Bond, the state of Vermont. And Suzanne was there, Mike, Nat, Sienna was there, Kathy was there. Morgan and I were there, Seth, you were on as well. And the bottom line is they really don't know what to do at the moment. This family stymied because we don't have a place to do spray fields. We don't have a place to do conventional mountain type system. And there is some new technologies out there. Too complicated for me to explain, but they're going back to the drawing board, and they're we're supposed to have a meeting, I think, next week.
Tuesday.
Yeah, to see what progress they're making. But unfortunately, we're in a situation where there's no good way to treat the effluent. So they're gonna have to do something. I don't know what, but
They're looking at land away from the village,
yeah.
further out.
So that's an ongoing situation. Any questions? The reason we have it on here, we have this to explain at the pre-town and at the town meeting, how in some years we signed articles, some years we just let everybody speak. So you have anybody have a preference? John says, I was talking to John before the meeting, just whoever wants to get up and explain the questions, but unless you want to do more formal, it's up to the board.
Is it also an option to wait and see if there are any questions about specific articles and then just try to answer those?
Yes, I wouldn't do anything unless we get a question for it.
Okay.
But the question is, do you want to, I mean, anybody can just chime in and give the answers. It's, I guess Dave's going to be kind of he's not really the moderator, but I guess he's going to facilitate what's going on there. It's really our meeting. Yeah, it's our meeting, so I'll introduce it, but Dave will be there to help.
So is this going to be for the town meeting show or for the pre-town meeting where we go over the art?
Pre-town meeting.
Okay, that's
No, the town meeting is all run by Dave.
Okay,
It has nothing to do with that.
got it.
No, the pre-town. So it's really our meeting to explain to the residents. If they have any questions on the budget or why or what we didn't do or any of the other articles, so.
But at town meeting, oftentimes there's quite a
Yes.
few people that don't go to pre-town meetings.
Right.
But,
Yeah.
so we stand up and we try to explain it.
Right.
Will representatives from the fire department and the rescue squad be there to explain their,
I've talked to Robbie, he'll be there, Keith will be there.
right?
And I can't speak for Grace Cottage or for SEPTA or the other ones, but I'm sure that they will have someone there. I hope.
Sometimes they have pamphlets out on
Yeah.
the table, but that's,
And there is a Zoom option for a pre-town meeting?
No,
No.
no.
And then, what about you, Hardy? Are you gonna be available to talk about your capital budget?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And what about if there's a question with respect to how the town is gonna handle the town's portion of the payment for the Walker Bridge? I know you considered that in the capital budget.
Basically, the capital budget committee had pushed that off to the select board. And we recommend that you look for other financing for that project. So that's where that is as far as I'm.
So it would be.
Because we don't know yet how much that's gonna cost us,
Or when it's gonna
or
happen.
when it's gonna cost us.
Right.
And there are options out there, which you actually researched yourself. So
Yeah, so I'm in the process of doing that. I talked to the deputy director of highway of V-Trans, and she said, I'm kind of like a dog with a bone about this situation of the town having to pay $700,000 for this bridge, and it might even be more than that.
Well, good one.
1,000 million.
Well, no, I mean, at the town share, it's up to about a little over 7 million now, it's 10%. So anyway, VLCT turns out is hearing complaints of this nature from municipalities around the state. Because for those of us who had projects that were approved before the ARPA funding was available, we're not eligible for the ARPA funding. And yet, part of the reason why our costs have gone up is the demand for infrastructure projects created by the ARPA funding. We got caught in that swirl, and we're not the only ones. So I'm talking to the LCT about this tomorrow and seeing if we can join in with these other municipalities to see if there's any way we can find some funding by special act of the legislature, whatever. I think it's a very low probability, but I think it's worth looking
Absolutely.
into. Yeah. So fingers crossed.
Yeah, and as it turned out, I was talking to, Rose Dave, Ben Rose. And, we were talking about, there's some money out there to do some culverts and maybe to do Old Hinkley Brook, without the 28% that we have to pay. And he said, well, why don't you use your ARPA money for that? I said, well, because we're using ARPA money for another project, but they've relaxed all the requirements. And, you know, if we would have known that from the beginning, we might have looked at it differently, but, you know, this is unfortunate when we were proactive and, I mean, we did a good job, but still, it would have been nice to know that you could use this money. And now it's all coming out that you can use it for almost anything you want to use it for. So, unfortunate, but it's still real. Anything else on that committee reports or anything? Other business? I have one.
I was just gonna talk about the.
Yeah, so do that, and I'll do one.
The school reached out to me to see if the town office can be used as a relocation site for any emergencies that they encounter. So essentially all of the staff and students would come here. if there's an active shooter, for example. The requirements from the town, they just need the space and somebody, like a point of contact, so a phone number, and for somebody to be on the property when there's any type of emergency, so that they have somebody to contact.
Does anybody have any objection to this? And I suggested to Morgan this morning that, actually, the building is occupied 5 days a week. Tim is usually here 4 of the days, Morgan is here 4 of the days, and if not, Michelle is here. And if there was a problem with nobody was here, you could contact one of the selectmen to open up the door or somebody. So, I think I don't have any objection, but you know, it's up to the board.
For the purpose of this, they just need a signature of facility representative. So,
Well, that would be I guess it would be the chair, yeah,
okay,
and then you'd have to talk to Kim
okay.
and see if she's willing to, you know, be there.
Mhm.
I hope we never have to use any.
We need a motion for it, or no?
I think we should.
Yeah, let's have a motion. Somebody make a motion that what do you want to call that?
Elementary school relocation site
Yeah,
for emergency events.
somebody move that,
So,
second? Al?
There's another opportunity that was discussed some time ago, and that was a situation where they were being taken by the school bus. And with the new town garage, the idea that they could, you know, take some coordination with the highway department, that they could pull the bus right in there and make a pretty secure situation. I'm guessing using this facility, they're gonna walk the kids over here, which,
Not ideal.
depending on what the situation is, that might not be the best arrangement.
Well, I mean, that's fine, but they're not asking for that. I understand.
I understand what they're asking for, but all I'm saying is, it might be worth reminding them that that was once discussed, and if the select boards and the road crew is still on board with that, that's another opportunity, not that there's only one opportunity.
Well, the other location they're using is the community church. Well. So, but that's fine, we could add it to no reason why.
Gets them out of town a little bit.
All in favor, say aye. Opposed? My business is, we have a select board meeting on the March 6th, the day before the town meeting. And we're having a pre-town meeting, next week. And I'm just wondering if we really need to have that meeting.
that's a great.
And my suggestion would be that we don't have the meeting, but we keep it open in the event that something comes up. We can always call a special meeting for that day. But that's up to the board if they agree, otherwise it's not a meeting. I just don't see having another meeting, but there's nothing pending, but if some emergency does come up, we can always call a special meeting on the 6th. So if that's okay with everybody, then we'll make notice of that. Everybody agree to that?
I think it's a great idea. It seems like redundancy, just so happens that the dates fell
Yeah, I know.
closely together.
Yeah, I don't think that's very unusual. Thank
Still, I
you. Go ahead.
You should have him, print off expenditure report and take a look at it. You've got 4.5 months left to go. And the fuel for the equipment for the highway is at 100% right now. One good thing is the maintenance is at 28%. I don't know why that's like that. I was gonna ask Mike, but that's way down. But there's other items that are up too. It's gonna be awful close when it comes June 30th. So you have 4 months to take a look, maybe you could do something on some of them. We have received all the money from FEMA except the 5%.
From the state.
Yeah.
Morgan, you might want to touch base with Kim on Thursday. And she can do the detailed report, give it to the board. Or send it email if you want.
Okay.
We can take a look at that. Any other public comment?
We also,
You also should get on the transfer of the land and freight to the town, and then from the town to the school.
We're working on that.
We need to get that done.
Yeah, Bill is out of town. He was gonna do it.
I know you got it.
And Morgan, a week and a half ago, sent it over to, Larry Slayton.
Okay.
And no answer, so she sent out a memo this afternoon, I think, or this morning,
Yeah.
reminding them we need to get going.
Good.
So it's unfortunate, it's in the way. The bill here, it would have been done a long time ago, but she's still away, so.
But we also have a meeting, I think, at 1 or 2 o'clock on February 28th for the time bond, is that right? Is it,
that's correct.
is it at 1?
It's at,
With council.
yeah, it's 1 o'clock.
Okay.
What is that, that's February 28th
Yeah,
at 1 o'clock,
yes.
Where's that?
here, the Zoom meeting. Any other business? Okay, it's reminded that Freetown is on the 28th, and the next regular meeting will be then on
That's 20.
March 20th. Will be the next regular select board meeting. Okay. If there's anything else, a motion to adjourn? Second? Yeah, second there. Yeah. All in favor, say aye. Vote.